Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. We're a full service CX and UX consulting agency, and this is my regular Tuesday show of Office Hours Ask Me Anything. Wrong side. Boom. Hi, Bachir. Good to see you. I didn't even put on the right hoodie. I'm wearing my old stained hoodie, and I barely got a little concealer on just in time. Not enough concealer, if you ask me. But hey, I'm here, and I'm here to take your questions live. So if you have a question, you are welcome to ask it here in the YouTube chat, the LinkedIn chat, and I'm also monitoring tweets as well. And if you would like to ask a question, we've got everything linked up. Hold on, let's see. Okay, deltacx.com/links will lead you to where you need to go. But if you want to ask a question anonymously, you can ask it at deltacx.link/ask. In fact, let me write that on the top of the screen so we don't have any mistakes. As I would say to my dogs. /ask. Okay, there we go. deltacx.link/ask. Alrighty, so I got some questions ahead of time, and let me start putting them up on the screen. We've got a special way to do that. Hey, Sirocco, it's like I just saw you. So let me grab, we have two questions that came in anonymously ahead of time, so I'm going to start with them. But if you ask a question, I will put it on the list of questions. And let's see. Hey, Andu Tipta, hi everybody. It's like everybody I know. All right, so first question, paste. And number 4. There we go. Okay, this one says, how can I find a side project I could work on after work hours? I feel like the projects I'm working on won't really help me get my next UX job, especially if I want to pivot to a different industry. Any advice on how to work on something that could help me build a case study I can present while job hunting? Ooh, there's a bug flying at my desk. Okay, so one thing I don't know from this question, and I always hope you guys will send me more context, because I don't know who wrote that, so I don't know your story. So I don't know if you are new to UX. I don't know if you are trying to find your first job, hey Sheer, and trying to get into UX. So I don't know if we need to talk about a different industry, if you are coming into UX or if you're already working in UX. So I don't think I have a good context here. Let me guess. And if you're here, please fill in some more details. But let me guess that you're not working in UX and you'd like to work on a side project to develop your UX skills and build up your portfolio and help you transition into UX from a job that isn't UX. That's my guess. What do y'all in the chat room think? Is that the impression you get from this question, or do you think this person's already in UX? Because I run the risk of answering the wrong question. Let's see, my lights are on. Hello. So here's what I recommend. If you are really new to UX, you know that my number one advice is to get a mentor or a coach, because even if you do find that side project, whether that's a paid side project as some sort of freelancing or something you're doing for free for charity, nonprofit, religious group, something else, all of those people expect good work done well. Nobody expects you to be blindly guessing at this stuff and going like, I think this is okay, I made you a persona. It's really important that you get that coach or that mentor, someone who can review your work, preferably weekly, maybe even more often or roughly around that, so that you can make sure you're never getting too far into the project where you've kind of messed it up and now it's been going on too long and now you might be setting yourself up for project failure or delivering stuff that's not great to this client. So no matter how you find this, I do recommend getting that free mentor or paid coach who's going to look at your work and give you that tough love and feedback and help you level up. The other thing is that You want to make sure that if this is really for your portfolio and you want to have a case study for your portfolio, then you want to make sure that this is a UX project. I see a lot of people who have questions like yours will sometimes end up finding one of those websites that claims to match people with projects that need free help or pro bono work. And what I find is that a lot of these projects aren't UX. Now, if they're not really UX, then that's not going to help you level up. It's not going to be a good case study. It's not necessarily going to look good in your portfolio. So pick and choose these projects carefully. If the project is make us an email template for your marketing department, that's probably not UX. Remember, for many of us to see this project as UX, it's got to involve the U in UX. There's got to be users or customers who are involved. Sudoku, I'll get to that question in a moment. We'll sneak it in as the second question, even though it's the third question. So be careful when you are looking for some of these freelance jobs or pro bono work, because very often they are website changes or, Udipta is saying open source projects, which can be ugly. So remember, a lot of these things that are pro bono work and some early freelancing and some of the open source projects would probably not be considered UX work because you're not doing any research with any real users or customers. And then you're usually not doing any testing, no usability testing with real or archetypal users. So if you are just saying, well, your web page, I made it better. I considered who I think your users are and I made the web page better. Yes, that's work, but many of us wouldn't see that as UX work. If I got you in an interview and I said, tell me what UX process you used for this project, what are you going to say? Because here's oops, that's a dinosaur. It's my secret new effect. Oh, I ruined it. I hit the wrong button. This is the user-centered design process. It is not a dinosaur. It is still very relevant and alive. And if what you tell me doesn't look something like this, then it's probably not UX. I did a mock interview with a coaching client yesterday. His real interview is today, fingers crossed. And when I asked him, what's your UX process? He described something to me that sounded roughly like this, though it sounded a little closer to double diamond, which is a variation of this. And that's a totally acceptable answer. But will this open source project or this hackathon or this pro bono work, does it look like this? If it doesn't look something like this, then it might not make a great case study. So circling back to this question, I think there's no lack of websites out there that are claiming to have these available projects. I've just never seen a project come from these that I thought was a UX project. I've seen marketing, I've seen web design, I've seen guess at a product, I've seen, hey, we're looking for someone to, we're a startup, we're looking for someone to design our app. No time or budget for users. So the end. This is just guess at app design, and I think that doesn't make a strong case study. So person who asked this, I don't know if you're here, if you want to ask a follow-up question, but I think that ultimately be careful about some of these side project things, because you'll hear from a lot of people, go find a side project, do pro bono work, or like Udipta said, do open source projects, but I don't think they're UX projects. So if the question is, hey, where do I find a real UX project I can do as side work? If you are new to UX, that's very hard to find. That would be an apprenticeship. You're looking for an apprenticeship or internship, and those are super rare. If you are more experienced in UX, then maybe you put yourself out there as a freelancer, but it's very hard for UX newbies to find freelance work because people assume that freelancers are hired guns who really know what they're doing and can approach a project strategically and tactically and hit the ground running. Kurt says, when they ask for sweat equity, It says they won't have, oops, sorry, let me shoot number 4 out of there. It says they won't have much to allow you to do good work. Yeah, sure. There's many signs you can look for that they're probably not going to allow a lot of good work. I do see an anonymous question coming in. Give me one moment to copy and paste that onto the list of questions. I can't even find my window now. Where's my window? I have like 2 million windows open. Here we go. Okay. Junior, the question from the junior moving to mid-level. I see your question and we'll put it on the list. We've got a few before you, so please hold on tight. All right, let's quickly answer Siroko's question because she has people waiting for her to give the answer. So let's jump back into that, and it looks like this. Okay, a question. They see portfolios with nice animations and want to know if Axure will help them do that. I have a funny thing to tell all y'all. Do you know this thing that runs at the end of the show? I'm just going to run it and then I'll come back. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn. Yeah, sorry about that. I have it set so that when I run that thing at the end, it mutes my microphone so you don't hear me going, oh my God, I'm going to sleep. Thanks. So, yeah, sorry, it's all built into my system. So anyway, if you see that animation at the end of my show, I made that in Axure. That's all I was saying when I forgot to turn my sound back on. I made that animation in Axure. And that's because I'm not a video editor. You know, my video editing is chop, 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 take out the mistakes, simple. You know, I'm not an animator. I have a degree in music and I have an MBA. So I'm not an artist. I'm not a motion graphics designer, but I made that in Axure. And basically, Axure is not the best tool out there for animations, but there are some simple animations that you can do. And that was actually the Move tool. So that was actually Move. That was a Move 2. So I had the coordinates. For those of you who've just taken my course, I had Move 2 with coordinates. And so I had the circles moving from here to here with a certain length of time. And then the triangle comes in, and that was just a slow fade in. So Axure's got fades, it's got moves, it's got a couple of other things, but you know, it is definitely not the best motion graphics thing out there. I think a lot of people who want more motion graphics are using Principle, but Axure definitely has simple motion graphics, because remember, the whole point of Axure is not to prototype a micro moment of an animation. The whole point of Axure is to prototype a realistic interaction design, and the animation is just a part of that. Kayleen, I miss you so much. I've been thinking about you. How the hell are you? So Sirocco, the answer is Axure can do some animations more than others, not as many as something like Principle, but you know, you can certainly make things bounce and move and show and hide and fade. So it's got simple animations. I've done, oh man, do you remember the old days of parallax? I've done parallax in Axure. That was really old. That's gone out of style. So yeah. Okay, thanks for asking. And let's see. Next, we have another anonymous question. Oh, I almost got it. Bug. Okay, let's check our next. And I see another anonymous question has just come in, so I'm going to go add that to the list. And let's see. This is... Okay, I think I have the questions in the right order. So this should be the other question that came in anonymously. Oop. And it's a little bit cut off, but I think you can get the gist. Here we go. Happy New Year, Kayleen, and everybody else. Okay, this question says, I thought we were making progress on understanding UX at my org. Uh-oh, here come the tears. Oh, sorry, that killed the question. I'll put it back. I thought we were making progress on understanding UX at my org, but then they hired a developer who was also doing the UX for some projects. We also recently hired a junior UXer, and now it feels chaotic and confusing as to their role when this other person claims to be a UXer as well. How do I start to right this ship without losing all of my hair? Thank you. Okay, so first of all, I do not know whether or not you will lose your hair. I cannot make any guarantees there. And also what I don't know from your question is, we got to follow up to the side project person. I do have experience in UX. Is freelancing the way to go, and any tips on getting started? Okay, thank you for the follow-up question. We'll answer that after this one. Thank you so much for writing in a little bit more context. We'll circle back to you in a moment. Hey, Maggie! Red flag, red flag. Yeah, so what we don't know from this question is, does the person writing it have any power? Do they have a team lead or manager or higher title, or are they just another individual contributor on the team? Are they supposed to manage or mentor either of these people? We don't know. Somebody is passing by on LinkedIn and my chat system isn't telling me who. I'm not getting the name. Thank you to the person passing by and saying Happy New Year on LinkedIn. Happy New Year to you. I will try to load up LinkedIn and see who it is. Anton. Thank you, Anton. This is a tough one because I don't know what your role is. So let's assume that you're an individual contributor. You are a mid-level or senior and you don't manage these people. So you technically can't tell these people what to do, even if you're playing a little bit of a mentor role. Hey, Shrivas, did you start your job? What I would probably do is talk to the manager. Now, of course, this raises the question of who is your manager? Because what kind of UX manager would bring in a developer who's doing the UX? This sounds like you're being managed by engineering who thinks anybody can do UX. Time to thank Jared Spool, everybody. Everybody's a designer. Everybody can do UX. Thank Lean UX. Lean UX says everybody can do UX together. So I would probably ask a manager to handle this. I wouldn't necessarily have go worker B versus worker B because I think that could be tough. If someone hired the developer or brought them in on the team and said, you're doing UX work, what does that look like? Who's checking their work? Are they still a developer? How much time are they putting in to the UX work? What are their responsibilities? Who's overseeing this? There's so many questions that I have, and you might not even know all the answers. Larry says, well, not the answer you expected about writing your ship. Suggest getting comfortable with baldness or look for another company. Yeah, I think that if this is the direction your company is going, it might be a place where you do not want to stay very long because you might feel like you're the odd one out. But they might be expecting you to shepherd these people. So I think the question is, if you have a real UX manager, can they step in and do something about this? But my guess is you don't have a real UX manager and that your UX manager is not from UX because a UX manager would never bring in a developer and say that they can do the UX. Maggie says, run, don't walk. Yeah, so how do you right the ship? I'm not sure you have the power to right the ship because the ship is already overturned. You have already capsized because I'm cool with them bringing in a junior UXer and hopefully someone like you is going to mentor and help them. But I'm not cool with them bringing in a developer who's going to do the UX. Oh, red flags, Orama. Maggie says, yeah, you're shepherding without the pay. So I think I'm not sure you can right the ship if you do not have the authority to right the ship, which is why I would be going to a manager. If you are the manager, then how did this happen? How did this happen and why didn't you say no? If a team came to me and said, hey, we've got this developer and she's really interested in UX, so we want you to let her start doing some UX work, I would say, I can consider her when we have an open apprenticeship. But right now I have mission critical work that needs to be done by people with some education and some experience. We've got this senior and this junior, and this is who's going to do the work. So I'm sorry, but no. That's what UX leaders should be doing. But they're not, are they? And then you might not even have a UX leader as your leader. You might have an engineering leader who said, yeah, UX is easy. You know, these paper prototypes, anybody can do them. You know, just let that dev do it. So I think you have to take a look at, you know, whenever I've done that, I've always gone to that Scrum Master or Agile coach and I've said, well, you know, what work do you think that person can do? And they'll say, oh yeah, well, we think that they can do design. They can sketch screens. And then I'll say, okay, well, what experience do they have with that? You know, I'll try to find unemotional, logical ways to start chipping away at that. And then I'll say, how many hours a week would you like me to be writing code? And they'll be like, well, I don't want you to write code. And I'll go, aha. I always say the amount of time that you want me to spend on developer tasks is the exact amount of time that I want developers to spend on UX tasks. But again, that takes a certain type of personality to say that to someone, and you have to be a little bit unafraid of what happens next. And many of us are afraid of what happens next. So I'm sorry I don't have a great answer for you. The chat room says you're quitting this job. But I think if you do have a manager, you do need to talk to them about UX is done by UX, just the way that development is done by developers. Developers are not going over to the marketing department and going, we're a little short. Who wants to write some code? This doesn't happen in other domains. This only happens in our domain, and we have to start saying no. Getting a message that my own show is live. All right. Sorry I don't have a better answer for that, but again, if you didn't break it, you probably can't fix it, and you might want to just keep brushing up that resume and portfolio while you talk to some other people there and see if you can find any improvements there. Larry says what Debbie said. Okay. Next question. Thank you from our anonymous asker who had the original question. More context. I do have experience in UX. Is freelancing the way to go? Any tips on getting started? I'm glad you asked. Pew, 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 pew. If you go into our YouTube channel, and I hope you're a subscriber there, and you check out our playlists, you will find a bunch of stuff that I've done that help freelancers. In fact, you can even go to YouTube and search for Delta CX Freelancer. There should be 2 or 3 videos that come up that are long form. One is how I plan projects. One is episode 8. Once upon a time, there was an episode 8, everybody. Episode 8 in the live podcasts playlist was about the contracts that you need to have in place to be a freelancer and protect yourself. As for where do you find the work? I don't have a lot of advice on that. There's so many different ways to find work. There's traditional marketing and advertising. There's partnerships you can try to make. There's Slack channels. There's Upwork and other sites. I'm a bad I'm a good salesperson, but I'm a bad marketer. So I usually try to not advise people on things I'm bad at. But before you freelance, make sure you've watched episode 8 because it's life-saving to talk about the contracts you need to have. I know too many of you who have come to me privately behind the scenes and said, I tried freelancing and oh no, I didn't sign a contract and now they're threatening to sue me and what have I done? And you don't want to end up there. And you could end up there. So you have to have contracts. Maggie says, yeah, just start asking if you can write code. Shrivas has a question. Okay. And Larry says, as a freelancer, remember you'll spend 80% of your time working for your client and the other 80% trying to find the next client. Yes, it's a good reminder from Larry. Shrivas, I'm adding your question to the end. It's a good reminder that when you are a freelancer, if you have your own mini agency, you are also the salesperson and you have to be doing work and trying to figure out where that next job is coming from. So it can be difficult and stressful for some people. So be careful. Oh, there's a bug flying around. I'll get it eventually. So yeah, I would say tips on starting in freelancing, watch episode 8 and watch the micro lesson on planning projects. And let me know if you have any additional questions. Okay, we got another question. Let's put it up. Ooh, freelancing plus full-time. No, I mean, Larry's basically saying that trying to get freelance work is a full-time job and then doing the freelance work is a full-time job, which it can be. All right, this person says, "Hi, Debbie." Hi, anonymous person. "I'm a junior moving to a mid-role in a new company in a month's time. Congratulations on the new job and the promotion. This sounds good. I hope. 2 questions. As a manager, what would you expect from a mid-designer coming to your team? As a mentor, what would you say that I should focus on in the first month? Thank you so much." Okay, so as a mid-designer, I would expect you to have 2 or 3 years of experience, maybe 4. I tend to see junior as being 1 or 2, and I tend to see senior as 5 or more. Larry would say 7, but we can fight about that another day. So normally for me, a mid-level person is going to be in that 2, 3, 4 years range. For that, I expect to see some pretty solid work and a little bit more autonomy. You know, we still might want to check your work for quality, but you shouldn't need as many check-ins as someone more junior or in an apprentice program. I wouldn't expect you to be tremendously strategic about projects, but that's what I would expect you to grow into. So if you're wondering, what do I grow into as a mid-level? For me, some of that is strategy. And by strategy, I don't mean the strategy of the UX department. I mean the strategy of, hey, product wants to build this feature. UX, what do you need to do and how long is it going to take? Well, that takes a strategic mindset, to use a word that I hate, to think about what work is the right work to do for that particular project and its desired outcomes. If you're a researcher, what research do you need to do and how long is it going to take you? If you're an architect or designer, how long is that going to take you and what are you going to do and how many rounds of testing do you think you need? Let's shut off the sound on my Surface Pro. And to me, that's the level of strategy that I would probably expect from someone who's mid-level, someone who's starting to get better at estimating their time. You've now been working in this a couple of years, a few years, and hopefully you're starting to get a sense of how long does this take. Let's see. Oh, I see everybody's answering Shrivas's question in the chat room. We'll get there soon. So what do I expect from a mid-level designer? I expect you to be a little bit more autonomous and not need as much of my help if I were your manager, but I would still expect you to need some of my help. I would expect to still have you do work reviews with your team lead. Wow, something is going on in the chat room and I'm not even watching it. We'll read through it in a moment when we get to the question everyone's responding to. There's fire going on there. But yeah, I expect you to know what you're doing. You know, someone who's junior, I expect them to not totally know what they're doing, still be guessing a little bit, still not sure what work to do for what project. They might think we got to just throw everything at everything. I'm making personas on every project. No, you're not. But as a mentor, I would be focusing on moving more into things that are strategic at the project level. So what work are you going to do and how long will that take so that you're better at time estimation, which is important as a freelancer, but also important in the fake agile world where everybody wants to know how long you need to do something. Can you do it in a sprint? Can you do it in 2 sprints? So it's really important to get better at that time estimation. What else would I expect you to know, to improve as that? Yeah, I think, to me, it's very individual. I would be working, if I were your mentor or coach, I would be working with you on in what direction are you trying to grow? Are you trying to just learn new techniques in the area you're in, or are you a researcher looking to do more design, or a designer looking to do more research? So sometimes the growth, once people are a few years in, is in the direction of adding specializations or things like that. But no pressure. If you are a researcher and you don't want to be a designer, that's totally fine. You don't have to do that, but that's sometimes what I see once people are in 2, 3, 4 years. Man, it's the chat room is going crazy over Shrivas's question, so I think we're going to have to put it up and read through what the chat room is saying. Thanks to everybody in the chat room for supporting Shrivas and responding to his question, and let's see what the heck is going on, and let's get it up on the screen. Here it is. Do you have advice on working with a developer that whines about every single small thing about flows and design I present, saying this is tough, that is tough, even bare bones stuff and clean flows? Ironically, the other set of devs I work with are experts that get what I say instantly. I agree experience makes a difference, but it's just straight up whining and saying, no, this is tough, I don't agree. I think one interesting idea could be if you watch the prioritization the prioritization lesson that Larry did in the micro lessons playlist. He talked about getting, when you're doing prioritization, not when you're just showing someone flows or designs, but when you're doing prioritization, they get to rate things 1, 2, or 3. And 1 is like super, I guess what was it, Larry? 1 is not that hard to do, so something to do quickly, right? 2 was medium, and 3 was like super hard, I guess, for tech. And then part of the prioritization lesson was that you can't just pick all 3s. You can't say everything is super hard. You would have to, part of the prioritization is you have to end up with an equal number of 1s, 2s, or 3s. Maybe you start asking this person to rate things 1, 2, or 3 as to how hard it is. But mostly I would be reminding this person that you are designing for customers and not for how easy he thinks things are. Now, this might be another opportunity where you have to bring in a manager or somebody to deal with this person, because this sounds very strange. I would probably see if I could start holding some meetings with them and their lead, like them and the engineering lead, or them and a scrum master or agile coach, and hold some of those meetings with that person so that someone else can hear what this person is doing. And that way it might be a little bit more of a team effort towards what do we do about this. But let's see. Yes, Larry says number 1 was most feasible in that rating thing. So let's roll back and see what the chat room was saying. I'm going to read this out loud. Larry says, one technique I use with developers who complain about something being too hard is to mention that the other devs didn't seem to think it was too hard. I like that. Shrivas says, okay, I wrote that. Mag says, are they not in the same room? I let them fight it out. Shrivas says, Larry, I tried that. The reply is always, the other devs are experienced and I am new. Both are on completely different teams and different platforms. I'm the only common link. Okay, so again, where is this person's lead? If they are a junior or newbie or new, where is their lead? Their lead is supposed to, just like a UX lead, their lead is supposed to keep them from slipping and falling under a bus and from doing poor work. And somebody should be overseeing their work. So I wouldn't necessarily complain to their manager, but I would bring in whatever is that team lead, scrum master, engineering lead, agile coach, software architect, and see if someone can pair with that person. There's a lot of talk about pair programming in Agile. See if someone can pair with that person, or at least get more people to hear what's going on, because this person needs support. I know that we're thinking they're lazy, they're idiots, they're whatever. This is just a newbie who needs support. Now, the problem is that it sounds like they're using that as an excuse, and they want Shrivas to change his design so that they don't have to try so hard. But this is a cry for help, and I would work on getting this person support. Kayleen says a possible middle ground might be assign tasks to the UX developer on a project-by-project basis. I think Kayleen's talking about the previous person. Shriva says, I actually tried telling them, look, the other two guys find the same thing easy, but this person says, I'm new. I don't have people to speak with. Well, they've got to have people to speak with. Somebody is their lead or manager. They're not in this organizational chart floating alone as a bubble. Someone is above them. Someone is responsible for them. We bring that person in. Shriva says, maybe it's not fair to expect them as a beginner to know everything, but this is happening for even the most basic things like a login screen for the app. Yeah, you have to bring in their line manager, their team lead, their engineering lead. You have to bring in somebody who can support them because this person needs help. Larry says, you have to find a way to remind them that they are being paid to solve these problems. I also like to say if it's easy to use, it's hard to code. Mag says +1 on what Debbie said. They sound hard to work with. Black Khaleesi says, ask the other devs if they can help the person with the resources they need to complete it. Yeah, exactly. Let's look at some pair programming or getting that person help. I don't think this person is a lazy jerk. I think they're just stuck. I think they're in a bad situation. And if they're saying, I have no one to talk to, they're saying, I'm new to this, I need help, and I don't have help. They're telling you they don't have help and support. I would then be that person's advocate, not their enemy. I would go out there and try to find them that help and support, and I would probably start again with their manager or team lead. Maggie says, what if they are the lead? Well, if someone took a newbie who's afraid to make a login and made them the lead, that's a problem as well. Mag says +1 on pair programming. And let's see, someone else is writing spam links in the chat, so I'm going to have to log into YouTube and throw them out of the room. Give me a moment, everybody. Then we'll get back to the question. Because I made Charlene and Pier Mario moderators, and they're not here. So I have to go log into my own thing and throw out the person writing spam links. Person writing spam links, you are a lowly worm. And let's open up my own show. And let's see. Here they are. Hide user on channel. Done. All right. So back to what's going on in the chat room. Shriva says, Debbie, I will have a word with the PO and team lead and involve them in the common meetings. That would be helpful. I love this community. This is probably the only problem I face in an otherwise super fun job. Thanks for the help. Well, congratulations on the new job and the big move that you did. Mag says, to be fair, I've worked with the type and it can be ego. Shriva says, yeah, I agree. They're just new. They're not lazy. I want to help them, but the complaining gets to you. Yeah, and to me, the complaining is misguided. It is definitely a moment of weakness, but to me, it shows their desperation. And if everybody's going to say, just have empathy, then we've got to have empathy or at least sympathy for our coworkers who are in bad situations. We want them to be understanding of some of the bad situations we're in. We want them to be advocates for us when we're not getting what we need. I say we have to have a little bit more compassion and take action and help them get what they need. This person, in my opinion, this person has made it clear that they need help and they're not getting it. And I would go out and fight for them to get that help. How's that? Thank you for a really interesting, neato question. Checking my email. Shriva says, yes, I constantly try to support them and say, I'm new too. Yeah, so it's nice for you to do the empathizing and the sympathizing, but again, find them the help that they need from whoever is qualified to give it to them, because you're not the programmer, and don't try to do their work for or with them. Find them the person who will do their work with them. So, yeah. So this is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. I do this every Tuesday. I'm happy to take CX questions, UX questions, and now Axure questions. So if you have Axure questions or you're stuck in an Axure file, let me know and I will help you. While we wait for some more questions, let me remind you that on the YouTube channel, we do have paid subscriptions, which just really buy me chocolate chips. So thank you for everybody who supports the channel financially. And I want to thank our mid-level and senior low ego action heroes on the YouTube channel: Anita, Chang, Darren, Ican, Irena, Jordan, Michelle, Nikki, Ralitza, Ray, Solomon, and our seniors, Farm Cat, you know who you are, and Mix Betty. So thank you to everybody who joins in. And that's what I think Sheer asked that time. What is that weird thing on the screen? I can't find it. Where am I? It's a tip jar. So basically, when people do super chats or super stickers or tipping, which I think I have a link from here, which is totally optional but always appreciated, something drops in the tip jar. So this is the tip jar. Larry says, so this developer has no problem writing code to create bad designs. Right. Your design is too good. Make it worse and then I'll code it. Why? Yeah, that's unfortunate, but, to me, this is solvable, and we just have to keep looking for the person who can help that person. So while I wait for some more questions, I'm so sleepy. Let's remind everybody of the shows that are coming up. Now, of course, we do have a calendar of events at deltacx.com/links. You can check the calendar of events for the live shows. We've got a ton of them coming up. Tomorrow, I will be reading my article about how I believe the Lean Startup book is garbage and it's time for us to throw it away. No, I didn't say Lean UX. We've already burnt that one to the ground. Now we need to talk about Lean Startup. So tomorrow, I'll be reading that article and turning that into a live conversation with those of you who are joining from the chat rooms. Thursday the 6th, we are off. Friday the 7th, Reaction Stream is back. Same as always for 2022. Monday the 10th, Mondays, of course, will be Think Out Loud, which is our new series. And you can find a playlist on YouTube for Think Out Loud where I am live designing a realistic fake project. And I'm thinking out loud so you can see how I approach design and architecture. Tuesday the 11th, of course, is Office Hours Ask Me Anything, though next week it's Ask Us Anything with Darren and Dr. Nick. So that's January 11th. Wednesday the 12th, I just scheduled. I'm so excited. We're going to meet Jan from Poland, and he is a business strategist and expert debater, and he's going to teach us how to advocate for UX using techniques from debating. Aren't you excited about that? I'm so glad I bumped into him on LinkedIn and we had a call, and he's neat. Next week, I'm actually doing 5 shows, one every day. Thursday the 13th, Michelle Ronson is going to do a micro lesson on research note-taking strategies. So I'm really excited about that. And of course, Friday the 14th is back to Reaction Stream. Alrighty. Kayleen says, how are you doing? Well, Kayleen, I'm great. We've been lucky. We're not sick. We're doing well. We're having fun driving our little camper around locally and pretending we're camping in a COVID world, and that's good. And my new job starts tomorrow. So I'm good. How are you? I've been thinking about you, and I wanted to write you, but then I also didn't want to bug you, so I couldn't decide. Andre says, hey, Debbie, Happy New Year. You too, Andre. How might you deal with a client that just doesn't seem to care about UX? The client was acquired by our larger entity who is product-led. Yeah, so this is where you have to pick your battles. Let me put the question up while I answer it. Thank you so much, Andre, on LinkedIn. This is where you have to pick your battles. You have to decide if they really don't care about UX. What are we doing here? Do we have any chance of convincing them of UX? Is there anything now? Also think about being a guerrilla style person. Is there anything that you can sneak into this project? If they don't care about research and testing, can you sneak in a little testing and say, wow, look what we did and we learned from this. We didn't charge you anything extra for it. We just needed to know it for our own process. But check this out. This may be something we want to work into your projects in the future. I think that some of that little sneaky style stuff is going to be a good way to go. Sorry, those eyeballs were for lean startup, which I'll talk about in a moment. So I think if a client doesn't seem to care about UX, remember, that doesn't stop you from doing UX unless they are specifically stopping you from doing UX. If they are saying, look, just code my project. I don't want any of this design crap and research crap and testing crap. Just code it. Look, if that's what they want, and if your company is an agency or consultancy that says, fine, we're a pair of hands, we'll do what you want, and they don't want to be partners or consultants, then you're doing what the client wants. It really depends on the relationship that you have with this client. That's what I find. If you can sneak in some guerrilla stuff and go, we decided to talk to some of these people and here's what we learned. Isn't it amazing? Good thing we did that. We should get that into your plans in the future. If you can sneak stuff in and show this person the power and value of it, great. But again, this might be one of those people who thinks that UX is valueless no matter how fast it goes and what it costs. So just remember, you might not be able to convince this person. And if your company is fine just being a pair of hands and saying, fine, we'll just make you some screens or whatever, you can do it. What I normally do when I used to get projects like that, because I won't take those anymore, is normally I have people sign a thing, and I don't know if it's too late for you and this guy, but sign a thing just saying that without research and without testing, these are our best guesses, and that these should be researched and these should be tested, but we are only guessing at ideas and executions of ideas. And if you're not going to let us go through our process of properly spiraling our way to the best solution through cycles of research and design and testing and iteration and so on, then you're just getting our first guess. You're just getting our guess. And we just want to make sure you understand that you run the risk that this goes out and it's got room for improvement. Or we can do some testing, cycles of testing and improvements before engineering builds it and reduce that risk. So I don't know if anything related to risk mitigation is something that can convince this person, but just know if you can't convince this person, it's not your fault. You didn't break it. You can't fix it. Kayleen says, you can bug me. Oh, I should have. I'm sorry. All right. So Ashir says, I removed Lean Startup from my reading list. I'm waiting for tomorrow. Yeah, if you've read my Medium article on the Lean Startup and you've been to some of my shows before, you know that I read these articles out loud so that people joining on the YouTube channel and from the audio-only podcast will have an audio version of these with me, with my tone of voice, reading my own article. But then we turn it into a conversation here because we have the chat rooms and we have the ability to have an almost synchronous conversation. Just Maggie says, oh snap, we're burning Lean Startup. I haven't read it, but I know of it. Yeah, it's time to burn Lean Startup. I didn't like it when I read it when it came out. And now that it's 10 years later and we're still using ideas from it and in non-startups like larger companies, it's time for us to talk out loud about how this isn't a thing. It's not a thing. And if it's a thing, wow. If this is the way that startups are working and still 90 to 95% of startups fail, I think it's time to take another look at this and get those critical thinking hats on. So there you go. We've got 10 more minutes here, and this is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. Let me see if I'm missing a question coming in. No. I do not have a question. Green eggs and ham. Yeah. No questions coming in. So remember, I do this every Tuesday. If you have a question, you can always send a question in 24 hours a day to deltacx.link/ask. It'll come into my email. I add it to the list and you get answered among the first. Larry says, Lean sucks. Scoreboard baby. Well, here's the thing. I like original Lean. I like where Toyota was going with original lean. I like the idea of reducing defects. I like the idea of value is determined by the customer. I like early lean and Lean Six Sigma stuff. Not all of it, of course. Lean Six Sigma is huge, but I think that there's a lot of good stuff in there. Lean Startup and then Lean UX continued where Lean Startup left off, redefined Lean. Instead of being about delivering value and reducing defects and identifying and reducing waste, Lean Startup isn't Lean, and Lean UX is definitely not Lean. You know, we've talked about that many times on the channel. If you're not sure, go to YouTube, write Delta CX Lean UX. I think you'll get 15 videos between 3 minutes and an hour and a half, and you can see some thoughts there. So I like original lean. I don't like fake lean, but I can also tell the difference. Any follow-up questions to anything we talked about today? Any questions at all? Kayleen, how are you? If you don't want to answer that here, send it in Slack. How's everybody doing? Everybody have a good, safe New Year's? Everybody hopefully feeling well, not covered in COVID bugs? Hopefully everybody's doing okay. Did anybody else watch Mike Mills live on Twitch other than me and Sirocco and Udipta? Mike Mills, who did our theme song, did a 24-hour live stream. And man, that was great. He did it last year, too. That's how we spend New Year's, just watching Mike. Hi, Brian. We got a few more minutes left, Brian. If you have a question, ask it now because we're winding up in a few minutes. And we'll be back tomorrow talking about how the lean startup is toast. Yes, Maggie, he lasted exactly 24 hours, though he did a couple of weird things during the 24-hour stream, including a song that lasted exactly an hour, which was really bizarre. And he stopped for a while and played Sonic the Hedgehog, as Sirocco can tell you because she was there. And he talked to the audience a lot. He said he had prepared 9 hours of music, and he did some songs twice. I remember I was there at the very end too, and he was like barely awake. And of course, he sang some of his hardest notes to hit at the very end after singing for 24 hours. So he was really always an amazing and super guy. Salty drew some great stuff. You have to check out twitch.tv/Toehider, which is Mike's band name, like Toe, TOEHIDER, one word. He streams on Twitch now and then. You definitely want to follow him. And of course, he did our theme song. But he's amazing. And us on his Patreon have already heard his new album. He said he's going to release it around Easter. It's a 45-minute long song. And it's a whole concept album with a story. It's wild. Sirocco says getting to play with the camera and lights was fun. Yeah, Mike has it set up in Twitch where if you are at least following him, you can remote control some of his cameras and some of his lights and sometimes the smoke machine, though he turned that one off for New Year's because it was too foggy in there. But yeah, you can change the color of his lights and set off lasers and stuff while he's playing, or turn off his lights. So yeah, he's got a neat setup. I looked into that, but number one, I couldn't figure out how to get it to work, and number two, I didn't think I wanted y'all to have that power. So it's like it wouldn't make sense for it to be like, and UX is so important, and then boom, like all the lights go out. That's just. I don't recommend that. I don't think that works for us. I did download a couple of new videos, so we have some new effects on the channel that one I accidentally just premiered. But we've got a couple of new things cooking on the channel. I also brought out this new subscribe button So yeah, this is my request to everybody. Find 3 people who you believe would be interested in the Delta CX channel. And don't forget all of the free Axure videos that I just put up. Check the Axure playlist. I put up 13 hours of Axure videos. That's what I spent all of December doing. Re-recording all of my Axure lessons, editing them quite simply. My microphone didn't sound great, but I did it anyway. So just ignore the microphone quality because I was lazy, super lazy. But yeah, so there's lots of new stuff on the channel, 13 hours of Axure lessons that are completely free here on the YouTube channel. And again, please just keep telling people to subscribe. We did our December donation. I think I made $8 in ad revenue, so we gave $50 to Gabby Gifford's Law Center. So every month we're giving to different charities. Julia Denoto had requested something on that topic, so that's what we did. So I also do ask you in the Slack sometimes what charities are important to you, and we will get some of those on the list for some of these monthly donations for the ad revenue. The super chats and super stickers and tips I do keep. And those of you in the Slack channel know that I posted my full transparency report the other day. I've made about $800 this year on YouTube. So no, it's not going to be my full-time job, but you know, that's fine. I'm just happy. This is my hobby. Helping you 4 hours a week is my hobby. Julianne says, thank you for the Axure videos. I saw that as an awesome surprise and started watching over my road trip home from Chicago to East Coast. Long drive, especially with the snowy weather. Yeah, I'm glad you made it. I heard about some of that. I don't read a lot of American news anymore, but I did hear about the snow and the canceled flights. So I'm glad you made it home. Hopefully you were not the driver. If you were watching those videos, hopefully you were not driving. Hopefully you were the passenger. I don't know if you were working along with me, but don't forget to work along with me so that those Axure lessons can really get into your fabric. But yeah, tell everybody, let's learn Axure. Let's get those videos out there. And then you can always come here to Tuesday office hours and ask me any Axure follow-up questions you have. I want to make sure people watching the free videos feel supported. So not just feel supported, are supported. Nope, not my turn driving. Good. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yikes. It reminds me of, was it episode 108? One of my favorites, of course. Episode 108, What Isn't Design Thinking? I think I said something like, sleep meditations are my jam. Yeah. So anyway, we've only got a couple of minutes left, and then that's it for me for today. I think I'm going to roll into bed, especially because tomorrow's my first day at the new job, everybody. So excited. I'm still not saying too much about the new job. I usually like to be at a job for a few weeks before I say too much about it, just to make sure that everything is going well, especially those of you who were here in October and know that I'd started a freelancing job that did not go well and ended very quickly and uglily. So hopefully, I'm really excited about this one. And today I got my email address, and so I'm getting ready for action. It does also mean that those of you who are used to putting time in my calendar will see much less time available in my calendar. So that's because I need to focus on the job. But we'll try to, if you need to book time with me, like for a coaching call, yes, I do coaching. Let's put up the link again. Head to deltacx.com/links. You'll find a link to coaching. Everybody can have 15 minutes free once, and then after that, I do charge for my time. But I'm also opening up more weekend time since a lot of my week is going to be devoted to the new job. Congrats and good luck. Thank you. Have a great first day. Thank you. It looks like my first meeting with my manager is Thursday. So tomorrow I'm meeting some other people, but manager who did interview me Thursday, but this is a C-level executive. So I'm just like, but she's really neat, you know, a neat person in every possible way, really. So everybody I met during the interview process was just so amazing. It was like Could I really work here with these super cool people? I just want to make everybody my new best friend. They're just such really neat people. So I'm hoping in a few weeks I will have some good news that everything's going well, and I'll feel more comfortable telling you more about it. This summer also I had that job with the South African CX and UX agency, and that went really well, and I really loved it until it didn't go well, and then it was over. So Kayleen says, crossing fingers for me. Thank you. I have a lot of hope for it, so I'm very excited. And I also want to mention, though I don't want Larry to get mad, I started working on another book. Not the book Larry and I are working on, another book. And I already have 21,000 words. So I am working on another book. Thank you, Brian, for the ta-da emoji. That's one of my favorites. I put ta-da everywhere. Alrighty, so I guess we'll wrap up, but I hope to see many of you tomorrow as we set fire, let's press the right button this time, set fire to the Lean Startup book and give it a good old Viking funeral. What do you think? So I will play us out of here. Everybody, please be safe. Numbers are exploding. I just looked at Italy. I am very worried, and I just heard that someone in the village has COVID, which means it is at my doorstep. I am going to just sit here and hide, or maybe hide in the camper. So everyone, please be safe. Take no chances. If you are healthy enough to get vaccinated, please do. And then even when you do, please still hide from everyone. That's what I've been doing. But my life's goal is not get COVID. Yep, Brian says, stay safe all, and I agree. Stay safe, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow and opening up a great conversation about the Lean Startup. Thanks, and see you tomorrow. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are